folks. Always climbing. We're about to film As Goes Israel live with Avi Lipkin, and hopefully you can hear me now. I've tested it. It seems like you can, but I know you like to be behind the scenes, folks, so we're going to include you on this.
Tested it.
Yep, there we go. Looks good. Sounds good. We're going to go ahead and kick this off, and I'm excited, Avi. It's always good to see your face. And we will start in 3, 2, 1. It's As Goes Israel, So Goes the World with none other than the founder of the Bible Block Party, author, speaker, incredible man, beloved friend, Avi Lipkin. How are you, sir?
Commander.
And we have a good time. Folks, you're seeing something new on the screen right now. We're always advancing here, and we've been doing this for a few years now, Avi.
Three years.
Yep. And I'm so happy that we are. We've been able to give people some reliable news on the ground, what's happening in and around Israel. Folks, it's so important that you listen to true news. Some would say journalism is dead. Well, we bring it back because we want to bring you true news and what's really happening, boots on the ground in and around Israel and how it affects you. If you don't think it affects you, folks, you have another thing coming, because that's why we created the show for Avi. As goes Israel, so goes the world. That's true, and it's been true throughout history. And here we are yet again today. Oh my gosh. So much sleight of hand in the media, Avi. So much distraction, planned and funded and coordinated by our own media. Distraction. But what's really happening in the world first, in your world? What's happening where you are?
Well, obviously, we are very close to President Trump's military in the Persian Gulf or the Iranian Gulf, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
The latest word in the Israeli news is probably it's going to happen within 48 hours. But nobody knows. Only President Trump knows the exact timing of if and when. People say it's not if anymore. It's when the U.S. military clobbers the Ayatollahs and the terrorist regime. We heard today that it's somewhere between 65,000 dead people up to 80,000 murdered by the Basiji, the Pasdaran, whatever you want to call them, the IRGC. The people of Iran are begging Trump. They said, don't be like Obama. They're begging Trump to open up his offensive against the Iranian regime. Israel at this stage is, I don't know. I mean, Netanyahu is not saying anything. You know what? Listen, my wife is uncanny. Rachel said, you know what? Why should we wait for the Americans? The Israeli Air Force can go in and finish the job in one night.
Right.
And then let President Trump mop up. But Israel knows exactly where to hit. The Iranian people are being massacred in thousands every day. Thousands of innocent people being killed.
And yet they protest.
And all they want is to live in freedom. So we are watching this very carefully. I don't know what to say. I was supposed to be in the States last week.
Right.
Before the snowstorm. I didn't even ask you how the snowstorm went. But I was supposed to be in Dallas. And my son Aaron said the books are going to take a few weeks, so you might as well stay home until the books are printed, my 8th and 9th books. So I'm in the twilight zone right now. And actually, I don't want to leave my wife if missiles are flying over from Iran to Israel. We also always have this fear of an Iranian terrorist attack on the ground, an Islamic attack on the ground against our community. I'm too old to be in the army, but I have a pistol, and I'll be like, the old cowboy sitting out in his front porch with his Winchester and ready to shoot anybody who gets too close. By the way, I have to tell you something really funny. I have some dear friends in Greenville, Texas, just northeast of Dallas. And they said, okay, listen, when you come to our house, just remember, you go left, you go right. Then you get to a certain corner where there's this old buzzard sitting on his front porch, and he shoots at anybody who drives by his house. That's Texas. So they said to me, don't pay any attention, just keep driving. And
Deep in the heart of Texas. What? That is Texas. You know,
let me,
I love Texas, and
I love Texas. I miss Texas very much.
yeah, I miss Texas too. You know, I still go there, and I do a lot of my work in Texas, but it's just very interesting. But I always tell people, you know, they're the nicest people in the world, and they'll offer you sweet tea and welcome a stranger. But if you want to mess with their family, they'll shoot you in the face.
Yeah,
That's
true.
Texas, and I love Texas for it. You
Just
know,
remember, just remember, jihad is a word from Texas.
jihad.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you remember this or not, but when ISIS threatened Texas, do you remember when ISIS issued a threat to Texas? Do you remember that? ISIS,
Yeah,
we're declaring war on Texas. And I wanted to say, oh, you boys don't know. You poor fools don't know what you're saying. Because the attitude in Texas is, oh, yeah? Why don't you come on over? We'll put you boys in the dirt. That's Texas.
yeah.
But you look at Iran. The Democrats want to disarm us here. And look what Iranian leadership is doing to their own people. They disarm them, and they're slaughtering them, which is nothing new for that regime. That's what they did in the 70s. And so it just shows the difference. And yet, Iranians are protesting while being slaughtered. And over here in America, your conservatives can't even get out and vote if it's raining. Something's got to change, folks. You know, the left only needs one reason to vote, and conservatives only need one reason not to. You can't let that happen in the midterms. And so, very interesting times. Now, I have to say this. You know, I voted for Trump. I'm not a blind follower of anybody, but I am a little disappointed because, you know, it was said from our administration, hey, we're with you. We're standing with you. Well, 60,000+ people massacred. That didn't sound like they're standing with them. And, well, you know, I mean, make all the arguments you want, you know. And, of course, the left, as pathetic as they are, you know, they're paid to protest. They're not protesters. They're thugs, paid Antifa thugs, you know. And the Twin Cities in Minnesota, that's not most of Minnesota, folks. Most of Minnesota voted conservative. It's just this one little problemed area that gets all the media attention and coordination, even from Fox, because Fox is a part of it too. But all that to say is people need to wake up and be vocal, show up and vote. And you need to get behind Avi, biblicalalliance.com. Go to biblicalalliance.com, see his teachings, his DVDs, his books. But also go to patriotsinAction.com and get informed. Show up, vote, run for something. Otherwise, the commies will. And you want America to look like Iran? Then don't vote, or vote left. And but with all that said, I mean, Avi, did I misunderstood that there was even encouragement from some in Israel that said we'll stand with you, Iran? I mean, I know we can't disclose everything, and God knows Israel more than anybody in the world is careful as they can be, you know, when it comes to collateral damage. But can't we do a better job of helping Iran, or we just let them wait? You know, do we just wait until everyone's slaughtered? I don't know. I mean, how would you encourage us to think and pray on that?
Well, the calculation of the Israeli army, the Israeli defense system, is that the Iranians have 3,000 ballistic missiles, and each missile can kill 100, 200 people in the cities.
Wow.
So Israel has, of course, anti-missile systems, so we can take out maybe 90% of incoming missiles from Iran. So 3,000 take off 90%, we're left with, 300. 300 times 100 or 200 people, we could lose thousands of people in the missile barrage from Iran. And so Israel coordinated with President Trump to give us more time to get our defenses up and ready for a missile barrage from Iran. So Israel also told Trump, hold it for now until we have our all our ducks lined up. And President Trump also has his ducks that have to be lined up. And from what I understand, there are plenty of Green Berets floating around in Iran right now. And the Israeli Mossad people are floating around in Iran. They're bringing in weapons. So this is something that they say location, location, location. But in this case, it's timing, timing, timing. The Americans and the Israelis together have to work with the Iranian opposition. And let me just say one thing. President Trump, if he hasn't gotten the Nobel Peace Prize until now, he'll get it once the Iranian regime is overthrown. And those murderers in the Iranian regime will go to the International Court of Justice in The Hague in the Netherlands. These people should be all executed for what they did to the Iranian people.
They should be. Again, you don't know who to trust. It's a sad situation. So what you're saying is Mossad is on the ground helping arm the resistance.
A long time already.
Yeah. And now I did hear reports from Intel yesterday that American planes were spotted in the perimeter of Iran. I don't know how reliable that is, but Winston Churchill once said that during times of war, the truth is so precious that she must be surrounded by a bodyguard of lies. And we've learned the hard way with a former administration that leaks vital information because they're traitors to America, and yet somehow they elude arrest, and the populace is left to decide on their own, But we know what to do when it comes to watching and praying. We must watch and pray. We have to do that. And so, anyway, with all that said, I have faith, I have faith that some way, somehow we'll do the right thing. Trump's got a lot of battles he's battling right now, and the media that is not for America, that has betrayed America, is trying to keep us focused on the clown show in Minnesota, in the Twin Cities, Minnesota, that is, But the reality is that one of the largest marches for life in America happened, and you don't hear it reported because people are focused on the clown show, But I long for a time when we return to true journalism, Who, what, when, where, why, how. Just the facts, ma'am, only the facts, But in the midst of all this, what are the words that are coming from Netanyahu?
Well, Netanyahu has been very, very silent. As you probably know, the last 2-3 days,
right?
The last 2 days, the emphasis has been on the return of the hostage, the body of the hostage, Ran Gveli. So there are no more Israeli hostages in Gaza, and it's the first time since 2014 that we've gotten all of our hostages out of Gaza. And what Netanyahu is saying primarily is that Hamas has to be disarmed. And since they say they will not be disarmed, we are expecting some kind of an action by the Israeli military. But all of that is taking second stage to the war with Iran. And from what we understand, the war with Iran, led by the United States, will take 3 days. So, and they say it's going to be in 2 days from now. I mean, that's the assessment. Nobody really knows when. So it could be. I was supposed to be in Texas this week.
Yeah, I know.
And I said I can't leave my wife, our heads, because she'll kill me.
Well, you don't want that.
Yeah. If the Iranians don't kill me, my wife will. All I'm saying is we are expecting a lot of breaking news about Iran in the next 48 hours. Maybe not, I don't know, but that's what they're saying on the Israeli TV. And then, in addition to that, when Iran has been fixed by President Trump and the opposition comes to power, then the next stage will be Hamas. Hamas has to be disarmed. All these countries that are wanting to invest in this Singapore Riviera holiday holiday venue are going to be very surprised that they spend money and then Hamas builds more tunnels. So Hamas has to be dispatched. Hamas has to go. I have to repeat. I speak Spanish, so I did a Spanish radio show with Univision, which you see on TV every so often.
Right.
And they said to me, "Oh, you Israelis, you want to kill all the Gazans." I said, "Well, we don't want to kill all the Gazans. The Gazans are 2 million. We just want to kill the 50,000 terrorists called Hamas."
Right.
And so that's what Israel is planning to do. We do know now that Ron Vili has returned to Israel for proper burial. We know that the Rafah border crossing will be open. The Israelis are demanding, though, that we will inspect everything and everyone going in and going out. And they're not happy with that because they want to smuggle in weapons and terrorists. But we're hoping that once this starts rolling, a trickle will become a massive flood. 50% of the 2 million Gazans want to leave. That's like 1 million people want to leave, and they have visas to go to different countries. So I'm not even talking yet about countries that promise to take in Gaza residents, population transfer. And of course, Hamas doesn't want that. But we have to get the Gaza people out because they have been so brainwashed to kill the Jews on Saturday and the Christians on Sunday. You can't build a resort area like the Riviera or Singapore in an area where you have, murderers and terrorists of Hamas who will kill everybody who doesn't agree with their system.
It's a slippery slope because, as far as I have heard, that there's some new accords that they want to make, and it includes Hamas and Hezbollah, who are not nations. So, have you heard anything about that?
Well, of course. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Netanyahu is in absolutely no rush. I'll say something else also. Gaza has a yellow line going through it, and everything to the west and on the Mediterranean is controlled by Hamas, and everything to the east is controlled by the Israeli army and Israel. So we had 53% of the land of Gaza. 47% was in the hands of Hamas. But a TV announcer let it be known that we are constantly moving the yellow line westward. So now Israel controls 60% of Gaza, and 40% is still in the hands of Hamas. So even if it takes a year or 2 years, we'll do it in 2 years. What we're doing is we're digging down, finding the tunnels, clearing the tunnels, then filling up the tunnels with cement, a very hard cement which cannot be cracked by drills, and make it virtually impossible for Hamas to reopen those tunnels. And we are watching very carefully to see if they are. We're not letting cement into the Gaza Strip because they use the cement to build new tunnels.
A lot of people don't know that for so long. I remember seeing it in a National Geographic article, a picture of a Palestinian woman crying near a fence, and inches away from her face are all these news cameras. They staged it. And Hamas and Hezbollah, PLO, taking money and using money instead of for humanitarian aid, digging tunnels, buying weapons. And you think, those poor Palestinian people, they voted for these Hamas people too. And you have several generations away from the foundation of Israel, doctors, lawyers, whatever, living in other countries that claim to be Palestinians and want to kill all the Jews, and they themselves have never lived anything but a nice flat in London. I mean, it's just the most sick ideology that we're fighting. And then, of course, the UN purposely not allowing supplies that Israel was giving to those in Gaza. So, you know, it's a horrible, deceptive situation that seems to be a secret that everyone knows about. It's just a matter of, it's like trying to convince a Democrat of critical thinking or common sense. You can't. You're dealing with rabid animals, those who are so hateful and just downright evil. You know, and of course we're finding corruption on our camp too. A lot of Republican politicians that are not Republicans. They're leftists. They're liberals. They're communists. You know, they're pro-jihadists. And so we're literally seeing good versus evil. But it's not hard to understand an enemy who is sworn to destroy everyone, even each other. So I don't understand the disconnect. But I think at the end of the day, people are going to believe what they need to believe no matter what, you know. You see people on the left, show me the proof. They wouldn't believe the proof. If you showed them footage, well, that's AI. I mean, it's a psychosis. It's a mental disease. So that's what we're dealing with. And that's why it's so important, folks, to get behind those who are like-minded, you know. But I am puzzled. Back to Iran, though. It's horrible. You know, it's horrible seeing so much carnage. And it can't come too soon, you know, delivery. But I've even seen Israeli flags and American flags being flown at these demonstrations, you know. I don't know. What's a person to think? If you encapsulate the whole situation in a paragraph, what would you say, Javi?
Anarchy.
Yeah. So you got to find your true north and do what you know to do. And we're facing it here too. You know, we have an imported army. Obama was bringing in 1,200 Somali Muslims every night into St. Louis during his first 2 terms, and then his 3rd term over Biden, I would say. You know, the world's finding out. And anyway, but there's those of us who've said, told you so, been telling you so since the beginning. You know, what's the best way people can support Israel in their own hometowns here in America? Call your politician, hold them accountable how they vote in regards to that. What else?
I think very important that American Christians who go to church, firstly, they should make sure they go to a church that is supportive of Israel. Because churches which are not supportive of Israel are basically antichrist. They are anti-Christian because Christ was a Jew, and he's returning to. If he's returning or coming the first time, he's coming back to Jerusalem for the Jews and the Christians. And so it's very important for pastors to support Israel, because if pastors don't support Israel, you should look for another church.
Right. Well, there's a whole lot of that. There's a whole lot of that we need to do. And we've needed to do it for a long time, you know, for a long time. This replacement theology, boy, am I seeing an uptick in such lunacy, you know. I mean, gosh. Candace Owens was at the dedication of the embassy. What happened to her? Who got to her? You know, or maybe that's who she always was. You know. So, anyway, we got to do what we know to do. We have people that are responding, and of course, Agent Brock, Colin Brock. Good morning, everyone. Not only does basically he's just saying that the left is united no matter what, kind of an anthill maneuver. And conservatives have a problem deciding what to have for lunch. Folks, we got to get in gear. You got to vote like your life depends on it, because the way they're talking, it does. You know, the sentiment on the street in Israel. What's the mood? Is there still the same momentum and unity because of the battles being fought right now? What's the mood on the street right now?
Well, the Channel 14, which is the one I watch, is very nationalist. It's pro-religious, and it is fighting a battle all by itself against channels 11, 12, 13, and 15 is not so bad. They're so-called 50-50, so it's like 50% God and 50% the devil. So you figure that one out. But 11, 12, channels 11, 12, 13 are virulently anti-Netanyahu, anti-nationalist, anti-religious. And so I'm watching all the stations. And it's just, when I watch 11, 12, 13, I want to throw up, because those stations are sowing discord and depression. And 14 it gives you an optimistic feeling of the truth of what's going on. And we like President Trump, we like Netanyahu, and God protect them. God protect them. We don't know. You know, I have to tell you something. Netanyahu said, because of the rising anti-Semitic elements in the MAGA movement, that Israel is going to work to become totally dependent of American aid and American munitions within 10 years. Because, you know, even MAGA Republicans are attacking Israel now, saying that Israel is a drain on American resources, when the fact is that Israel is a land-based aircraft carrier for the American military, and we are marching in lockstep with the U.S. military. And so the problem with the MAGA Republicans is that many of them are just isolationist. And you cannot be an isolationist, because isolationism means the Russians and the Chinese win. Russians and the Chinese come in. So, you know, we are not looking what happens 3 years from now when Trump finishes his term of office. We are looking at tomorrow, because if God forbid something happens to Trump tomorrow, we will lose the Republican Party. That's what we feel. And there are good Republicans, but they're in the shadow of Trump. They do what Trump tells them. If Trump is gone for whatever reason, and that's why I'm saying pray for the health of President Trump. If President Trump is gone, we're going to be looking at young lions who think they know a lot and they're just anti-Semitic. And they're Republicans. So I don't know what to say. We Israelis are trying to become totally independent of U.S. munitions and U.S. Financial aid. And actually, at this stage, our economy is doing very well. So we're just going to keep trotting along on what we're doing right now.
So to put a bow around all of this, the delay in America acting in Iran is so that Israel's positioned to handle the situation as effectively as possible.
Our opinion basically is that we could finish off Iran with our Air Force in 24 hours.
Right, right.
But they've got their missiles scattered all over their country, and their missiles could take out thousands of our people. So we are trying to do everything we can in lockstep with the U.S. military.
Well, then we know how to pray. We know how to pray. I can't imagine being in the situation of Netanyahu, yet he has endured. And he's endured because he's seen presidents come and seen them go. Right. You know, and of course, you know, you're my friend. I've long believed that Israel has the capacity to take care of all her enemies at the same time, even America. And so we just need to do everything we know how to do, folks. Vote like your life depends on it, because it does. Vote as if your country depends on it, because it does. What's the other alternative? You know, multiculturalism. You see how that's working in London and Germany and all the others. That's code name for Islamist country. And you bring in third world people, you bring in third world problems. It's not limited to Islamist countries, of course, but we just have to pray for the peace of Israel, and God save America.
Amen.
And God
Amen.
bless Israel. It's so important because as goes Israel,
So goes the